Welcome to the Fierce and Fit Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Clarice Yau, a holistic health coach dedicated to helping women over 40 achieve their fittest, fiercest selves. Each week, we'll dive deep into the unique challenges of menopause, including belly fat, weight gain, muscle building, hormonal imbalances, and more. These episodes are recorded live from my free Facebook group, Fierce Women Sculpting Powerful Bodies and Champion Mindsets. Be sure to check the link in the show notes to join our incredible community and access free content, challenges, and resources designed just for you. This is the Fierce Women community where we sculpt powerful bodies and champion mindsets. This is our community where we coach women to over 40 through all their different stages of perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and areas of losing fat and building muscles, balancing hormones, resetting metabolism, all of that. So if you want to learn more about our community or join, it's a free community. You just have to go to the link in my bio and click the Fierce Women community link to join for free. And every week we do free trainings as well as have different challenges. We've actually ran pretty much a challenge almost every week of January till like now. So we've had different challenges, and so if you want to join different free challenges, make sure you click that link. Now, who is this for? This live interview with Kimiko, who is obviously very sculpted at 66 years old, more sculpted than some 40 or 30-year-old. Oshone and I always joke, when we grow up, we want to be like Kimiko. So who is this for in terms of this live interview? So this is for anyone who feels like, I guess you're afraid of aging. You feel like my body is changing. I just can't get results like I used to. Muscles are harder to build. I'm gaining fat really easily. I don't know how to take this off. And just worrying that your best years are behind you, right? And I totally understand this. I understand that as you get older, there's so many changes in your body. As you know, I specialize in menopausal women, particularly in hormones. So for me, it's like I understand many things change, but there are so many things you can do to correct this through lifestyle factors, through what we're going to talk about with Kimiko today. And that's why I love bringing her on. And so yeah, stick around as she will share her journey, her story. Okay, so last thing before we bring on Kimiko here is we have come out with something called the muscle age assessment. The muscle age assessment is a new tool that we have come out with that will help generally assess your muscle age. If you want to have that free assessment, put muscle age below and we'll send you the assessment to your messenger, okay? We can kind of figure out what range of muscle age your body is sitting at. Okay, so with Kimiko, I want to introduce her with some of the wins that she's had. And if you know anything about building muscle, it does not happen fast. So Kimiko has had phenomenal wins because if I name off all the inches she's gained throughout her body, you'll be like, wow, like that's phenomenal for a 66-year-old, right? Like this is like even a regular person trying to gain a little bit of inches and mass in your body takes a lot of time. And so in 3 months time, Kimiko has gained an absolute in inches, like throughout her body, 17.5 inches. And this was in muscle, not fat, because as you can see in the picture, she is extremely lean. Like her body fat is very low. So every gain that she gained was muscle mass, right? And it's not just, so the first few weeks, for anybody that is listening, your increase immediately could be from exercise and glycogen filling those muscle stores. But if it is like months after month, that is showing significant increase in muscles, right? And so she's gained 17.5 inches. She's gained 3.6 pounds of muscle. Again, I want you guys to think of a pound of muscle, okay? Like meat. Yeah, right? And like a pound of meat. Think about almost 4 pounds of muscle gain in that very lean body of Kimiko, right? So here's some very impressive metrics just so you guys can see, right? It's not like all in one place, but it's how it's distributed throughout her body. She gained 1 inch in her back. 0.75 inch per arm. So if you actually look at her bicep, I don't actually have a comparison photo that I released, but I might release it. Her muscle in her biceps like really grew. 0.75 inches per arm, 1.7 inch in her forearms, 2 inches in her glutes and booty, because you know she used to have a very flat butt and she's grown that 2 inches, 1.25 inches per thigh, and 1 inch per calves. And her, if you've looked at her back, if you really understand anatomy, you can see the V cut. So she's really developed the lat lines, which is really impressive again for at her age. It makes it very exciting, right? Like it's like, wow, this is amazing, her development. And her legs have always been a weak point for her, and so it's been growing more thickness, which is very important for her, especially her as a dancer, right? As she is a semi-professional tango dancer. And I know that she says she feels way more positive about her aging and all of that. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself a little bit more. I will get Kimiko to come in. I know she already was requesting to come in near the beginning, so I'm gonna bring her on in. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just great. I'm at work, so
Yes, I know. And yes, this is Kimiko. She's very dedicated. She always plugs into our lives, even at work. Like she'd be working on her computer, listening to our lives, and somehow being super consistent on every single challenge she takes part of. So first of all, thank you for coming on, because I know how busy you are with full-time work and your dance. So maybe you can start by actually sharing with the audience like a little bit about yourself, like your background. Did you grow up in the US? How did you get into fitness? Just like a background so they can get to know you.
Okay, well, I'm from Wisconsin, but I live in Southern California because of the weather. Had to leave in the middle of the winter. Couldn't take the snow anymore. I work as a commercial property manager. I manage 8 shopping centers, working full time, even at my age, and I don't intend to quit. I won't be retiring anytime soon. I also do a lot of dance. I've been doing Argentine tango for about 18 years now. There's been stops and starts. And before that, I used to have a salsa team for 7 years, and we performed all over the place, mostly in California, once in Chicago, Arizona, places like that. So I've been dancing as a second career, whatever you want to call it, for a long time.
Yes.
20 years.
Semi-professionally, because you teach. You
Yeah.
teach, right? So yes.
I was teaching salsa. There would be a couple of events out in Palm Spring every year, and I was always teaching there and different places. So I'm not teaching right now, though I kind of stopped that. I will be doing a performance with my partner at the end of March. So right now we're really busy trying to get ready for that, especially since I'm just getting over another cold. So
Yeah.
it's been going around. Anyway, so I guess that's pretty much it. I work full time. I dance 3 or 4 times a week, including rehearsals.
Yeah.
And I try to lift weights 5 times a week.
The thing is, I think is really important is I often hear like, oh, I'm just so busy, like I can't fit it in. And I just think you're such a great example, because you're at 66, you're still working full time. You dance 4 to 5 times a week, plus you fit in 5 days of training on top of that. Now, is that something that everyone has to do, as in like that's the number? No, because some people their cortisol is so high, as I have said to one of my clients before, that maybe 5 days a week is too much for them. But what I want to bring up is the dedication, the consistency you have. And I guess, before I talk about the consistency and dedication, I guess, like, how did you even start into fitness? Because you have been lifting for many years.
Yes. I started when I was 23, and it's mainly because I'm terrible at every sport. I am so bad at everything. So for whatever reason, I decided, let me try lifting some weights. And back then, this is 40 years ago, they called it weight training. We did not lift, and girls had separate gyms from the boys. We weren't. So when I joined this gym, there was a girls' side and there was a men's side, and in between was a racquetball court. That was the big. So the ladies got machines, and that was it. We didn't have dumbbells or barbells or any of that type of stuff. So I started doing that, and in 3 months I noticed, wow, my body is changing, and this is really exciting, and this is interesting. I think I can do this. And I was only going 3 times a week, just, you know, kind of like the barest minimum. I'd walk around, do the machines and some cardio, and I didn't start dancing until in my 30s, basically. So it was, you know, something to do. Club dancing, which in my 20s, you know, just
like John Travolta type stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yes, I started in the disco era.
Okay, yes.
Yes, so I went to Fred Astaire dance studios and everything to do disco and learn, you know, the hustle and this and that. Yeah, so that was that, and then got into salsa in my 30s.
Right, yeah.
So the weightlifting was something, it's like, wow, I can do this, and notice some changes and some differences. That was surprising to me. It's like, okay, I suck at baseball and softball and all that other stuff, but I can do this.
Yes. No, I love it. And I do think a lot of people, that's actually a lot of people's stories where they weren't too good at sports, or, you know, they were always like somebody who was kind of on the side in school. But I think fitness is it's such an incredible empowerment tool, you know, when you go train and you start to see changes in your body, you start to feel stronger, you start to, you know, be able to do something you never used to do, you know, like whether it's heavier deadlifts or pull-ups. I know you were working on pull-ups in my program. Like, it's such a wonderful tool for people. And I love that you said, like, I was never in sports, but, you know, I started getting into the gym, and then that's how I started, right? I also love the fact that you salsa dance. I know we connect a lot on this salsa dance and, you know, all the dance things. Like, sometimes our meetings, we were talking about dance on top of the fitness, you know, so it's really wonderful. Yeah. So I guess, you know, I want to go back to what we were saying before about consistency and kind of your dedication, because that is something that for sure stands out amongst the Fierce Women community, amongst all the angels and myself. In the background, we're always like, yep, Kimiko's super consistent. Even if nobody else posts in the challenge, Kimiko will post, you know, she will always be so incredibly consistent. And so I'd love for you to share your mindset on your motivation and how do you stay so consistent for the ladies who are listening?
Well, obviously, as the years have gone by, the reasons for my continuing to do weight training and weightlifting now have changed as I've gotten older. At first I did it, you know, my 20s was like, wow, I can do this, and I can't run and I can't do, you know, but I could do this. And that was the reason I did that. Then as I started the dancing and everything, I noticed that, you know, if you want to keep dancing and being able to, you know, keep up your cardio and this and that, and you have to have strong legs.
Yes.
So I continued to do my weightlifting then because I wanted to make sure my dancing was good and, you know, strong core, strong legs, that type of stuff. So then I continued that in my 30s and 40s. And then since I've gotten older, now it's for health reasons mainly. And so I don't know if you want to call it motivation, but, you know, osteoporosis runs in both sides of my family. I'm Japanese and Swedish, and both sides of the family had osteoporosis. And now at my age, I want to make sure that, you know, I don't break a hip, because that happened to my grandmother. And I was warned, you know, if you don't do something or if you don't continue, of course, I'm doing it through weightlifting. I'm not doing it through taking any medication. I don't take any kinds of medications for anything other than allergy over-the-counter stuff. So now it's mainly for those health reasons.
No, I love that.
Of course, looking good is good too.
Of course, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's funny when I speak to women who come to me or want coaching, they almost feel bad for telling me, like, I want to look good, and I'm like, that's not a bad thing. Like, we're built to, like, women are really built to desire beauty, and that's not wrong. But of course, you said something that as you get older, you also have this higher level motivation, which is like long-term health. You know, you want to be healthy inside out. And a lot of women tell me they want to age gracefully. you know, because it isn't actually about the length of your life, it's the quality of your life. I always say, you know, the quality of your life. Like if you live till 90, but you're always in a wheelchair, you know, it's not really a great quality of life, right? And Kimiko, you said something I relate to. My mom also has osteoporosis, and usually it runs quite highly in Asian cultures. And so, yeah, like you got to be strength training to prevent if you ever did fall. The highest cause of mortality for old people is falling, breaking a hip, and then passing away. So this is, you said something that's very, very crucial. So yes, strength training is key. And we're going to talk about this in a bit, but like, it's like, but knowing how to strength train is really important, because if, you could be going to the gym, exercising, but remember I once said exercising and building muscles are two different things. You could exercise, like if Kimiko just danced, which she's a phenomenal dancer, but she didn't strength train, she wouldn't have the muscle mass or the density in her bones as much as what resistance training does, right? It's still good though, you're still moving, but resistance training is really crucial, right?
It very much is so, because I do have to tell you, when I first started into Argentine tango, I was 47. And my partner at the time, I was dancing salsa. I knew him through salsa. And he came to me and said, I need a tango partner. Are you willing to do this? And I said, as long as you don't mess up my salsa schedule, let's go for it. And I found out, so, well, don't you have, you know, there's always more women in dance than there are men, always.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, well, what about these other ladies that you've been taking these classes with? And most of them, the problem that he would have is that they didn't have enough strength in their core and their legs. So he would feel as if he was dragging them around. And he says, I can't keep doing this. So that was part of the other reasons. So, you know, it's like, okay, well, that means it helps. It's been helpful to continue to strength train, because it really helps a lot in your dancing. And I like to do, we like to do tricks. We like to do a lot of lifts. And it's not him lifting up a sack of potatoes. It's him and I working together to be able to do the lifts, as you know, because I've seen your little tricks that you do post on.
Oh, you need to have a lot of leg strength. I think that's what I think as you get older, and if you want to keep up with whatever activity, whether it's dance like yourself and me, or somebody, I know others like skiing or stuff like that, your leg strength is crucial. And yeah, you're totally right. And core, absolutely, yeah. So I think really, Kimiko, what you're saying is you have to find some sort of motivation that keeps you wanting to really push yourself to stay consistent. And that motivation has to be in something, whether it's your dance, in your grandchildren, in whatever it is, right? And for the ones who are listening, if you want to put below, what is your motivation? What pushes you to want to stay consistent and want to build muscle? Put it below, and I would love to see. So, but we'll keep going, Kimiko. So for you, you've been training for 40 years, strength training, and I'm sorry, this light kind of turns on and off. There's some sort of like up and down here, but that's okay. See, it's turning back on. It's creating anticipation for your response. Okay, so you've been training for 40 years. What made you realize something wasn't working? I mean, I know you followed me for a number of years, at least like 2 or 3 years. And so like, what was it that you were feeling like, it's just not working, I'm plateauing, I need to do something?
Well, COVID, when COVID happened, there was no dancing, alas. So we had to do something. My work I was trying to do online, and I can't just sit. I'm sorry. I can't just sit. And I sit a lot because I'm always at the computer for most of my job. And now we're all sitting at home, and I can't do that. So I decided, okay, 2020, it's March. I was actually on a dance team. We were going to do a competition in 2 weeks. We had done this big rehearsal, all dressed up and everything else, and then they shut everything down.
Yes.
So I said, okay, let me go back into my strength training. I did everything I could, you know, to try and find weights, I already had a few dumbbells, but I started ordering stuff online, Amazon, people's used rusted out plates, whatever I could get, and I restarted. And this time, because I had nothing else to do, I went from 3 or 4 times a week to 5, because now I'm home, I need something to do. So that's how I got started. And I started seeing some, gains and stuff. And then it just stopped. I'm like, yeah. So I'm thinking I can do what I did when I was 23. I'm just going to start all over. And in 3 months, I'll see it. And it was sort of like that. Yeah. And if you look at my before picture, you'll see I do have a little bit of muscle in my arms, but nothing in my back. And I'm like, what's going on here? And yes, I had been following you on Facebook for 2 or 3 years. I did all the free challenges. I did that 21-day to try and understand better about nutrition. But then I thought, I'm not counting macros. I'm not doing that. And so, but then I realized, okay, what I did when I was 23, which is just, jump right back into it, lift those weights, it went to a point, and then that was it, stopped.
Nothing was, nothing was progressing.
First time in 40 years that I hit this big plateau, and it kind of scared me. Like, wow, now what? So I think after one of your Wednesday, programs, did one of your lives or whatever, I was listening, and I answered things and whatever, and we had a talk. And I just decided, if I'm going to move forward, I have to do something, and I don't know how to do it myself. So here you were, Clarice. I've been following you, listening to you, watching all your Wednesday lives, reading everything. I listened to a few podcasts, and it's like, okay, I have to do something. Let's go for it.
Yes. No, and I appreciate that. Like, I feel like, I think, even Oshone mentioned it in her last 2 lives on muscle building. She said, no one is an exception to having a coach. And I remember, because she was speaking, I was in the back, and I agree. And she was saying, like, even I have coaches, where you always need someone to help you out of your own perspective. Right? We are so used to our own ways of doing things, our favorite moves, our ways of doing things. And it's like, if it doesn't work anymore, you keep doing the same thing over and over, then what is that? As Albert Einstein says, is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? And so it's like, I think this is the thing, is like, you tried, which, I appreciate, because obviously we of course want people to be also resourceful, but at a certain moment or time, like, if you've hit a wall, you've hit a plateau, and you're like, I just don't know how to push past this, that is like really important to get some guidance. And at your age, and kind of once you're in menopause, it is way more complicated in regards to how to get your hormone balance, how to have the right nutrition principles, right? And I think that's something that, I appreciate about you, is like, you're very humble, like, you're very, I want to learn, I want to be here. I may have been lifting for 40 years, but I want to still learn. And it really shows through. Like, again, like, you have done a gazillion of our challenges.
Yes.
On top of doing my muscle accelerator program, it's like, yet she still returns, and there's Kimiko again, and she's doing another challenge and another one. And this is not like you have a lot of time. Like, you are working full time. You are doing like full-time dancing on the side, and like, it's like, but you just desire to always want to be better. And I think that is a quality of you, Kimiko, that many of us, all of us, can aspire to, because you just will continually show up, even if nobody else shows up. You're like, I'm still going to show up, right? In terms of like, when more specifically, like, what symptoms were you experiencing, when you said you were plateaued? I know when you came to me, you were saying like, you had a lot of cravings, and even through the challenges, I saw your before and after, you had bloating. So what were like some of the things you were experiencing before you started my program?
Well, there was frustration, of course, because why isn't this working? Why isn't this working anymore? That was a big one, which then leads to being stressed out, because why isn't this working?
Yes.
Also, I about the middle of the afternoon, I would crash. So I have to go running for coffee or something, right? And be less productive at work then. So if I didn't get everything done in the morning, the afternoon. And I love sweet stuff. So I would
Indeed.
always want to grab something sweet, M&Ms, or my boss used to bring me a donut every morning. I quit that a long time ago, but, a lot of sweets and things like that. So those were, I think, are the main things, some frustration, some stress from it, cravings, tired in the middle of the day.
Yes.
I really noticed a lot how, when you get stressed out, then your body gets bloated.
Yes.
And that's why I do all the free challenges, because, there's times of stress at work, and tax season is coming up here in the US.
Yeah.
So we've been super stressed out. So I did one of your first challenges for anti-bloating, and it made a huge difference because I was just so stressed out at work.
Yeah. No, I loved a few things you said. First of all, you said when I was frustrated and I keep guessing and I'm trying and it's not working, I just got more frustrated and more stressed. And that's something I always say to women as they're getting older and older, is like, when you're not sure anymore and you constantly second guess. I even did a live called Hormones, Why Guessing Backfires After 40. And it's like, when you're constantly guessing, you're like, I don't know, this person says this, or this expert says this, or it's like this light turning on and off. It gets so confusing. But see, it turns back on. So it's like your body's constantly like, what's going on? And I always say, like, you may not feel stressed, but the amount of guessing that you're doing is causing a lot of stress, and that stress builds up in your body. For older women, your body just cannot get rid of it. I was telling Jack, she's having great results. Again, she followed me for a long time and finally did start doing this program, and she immediately started seeing results. But it's like, I think it was her I said, but I talk about cleaners, like in the body. Like, when you're young, you have so many cleaners that clean out things. Inflammation, you drink a beer, pizza, whatever, it just clears it out, right? Your cleaners are strong and cleaning fast. But when you get older, your cleaners are not working so efficiently. And so every little bit of stress that you're accumulating in your body becomes accumulated waste, right? Accumulated hormone excess. That's something that I always say to women, is like, try not to keep guessing around. Like, if you don't really know, get some guidance on it, right? But there's something else you said that is about cravings. You said that you would always have cravings, and you would have, midday crashes and all of that. As much as Kimiko worked out, her cravings are a reflection of her nutrition not being on par. And I know we'll talk about that in a bit. Her nutrition not being on par. And no matter how much she works out, she is not going to build any muscle, not from the way she ate before she started the program. And the cravings are a sign for her body that she needs things. But then what you feed your body, if you feed your body just sugar, is that going to build muscle? I mean, you could be an endurance athlete, I guess, I suppose, but still, even that, there's things behind that. But there just wasn't, your nutrition wasn't quite on par. So if you have cravings, that is a big sign that there's hormonal imbalance in your body. And I know, Kimiko, for a long time, you always said to us before you started a program, was like, I'm good with my nutrition, I just always crave sugar. I remember you telling us this in messages. I don't know if you knew at that point, but that craving really was another big signal that you're being blocked to build muscle. I don't know if you know. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, I have some good doctors, but they're men, and they are older. Most of my two functional medicine doctors, one's an OBGYN, one's chiropractor, but they're in their 70s and they're men. So, I mean, I got on HRT, bioidentical HRT, and I thought, oh, this is going to fix everything. And it doesn't. It doesn't fix, I mean, it'll fix the hot flashes and all that type of stuff, but it doesn't fix if you're trying to build muscle or you're trying to lose weight or whatever it is. That doesn't fix that.
Yeah.
And they're men, and even though they're trained doctors, they're still men.
Yeah.
So they can only give you so much information, and then that's it.
Yes. And I actually really want to bring up what you said, because you make a lot of good points of like, starting the bioidentical hormone. And, a lot of women will ask me, after a hormone live I do or something, they'll say, so do you think then, based on all the stuff, because estrogen drops, all these like cumulative hormonal responses change. Should I just start HRT? Should I start bioidentical hormones? And my answer is, as you might have heard me say on my other lives, is that there are pros and cons to each one. It's not a hard yes or no. And of course, there can be reasons where it can be good to do bioidentical hormone, and there could be reasons where maybe you shouldn't do it. There are risks involved. But you said something very important, okay? If Kat Wilson is on here, she will identify. She also went on low dose estrogen and things like that. But she didn't find, like, it temporarily helped with some symptoms, but it didn't really solve the root of the issue, like constantly having weight gain. One of the things that I want people to understand is, like, HRT, it can have good benefits, but it is not what solves the root of the issue. And this is something that, just remember that. Obviously, you know, it's a huge field and there's reasons why people could take it, but it's like what I always say, for people who may have to undergo surgery, let's just say gastric bypass or things like that. Again, there could be reasons, maybe like the weight is so high that it's dangerous, then they need to get that weight down. But I have coached so many gastric bypass patients who still was very overweight after gastric bypass. Why? Because they had a procedure done, but they never really understood the foundation of nutrition, how to eat, how to strength train, how to do all of that. And so I just want to make sure people understand, like, HRT can be okay, but try to learn the principle of healthy eating, foundational menopausal nutrition, as well as menopausal ways of lifting weights at the foundation, so we can change it from the root. We can change it from the cellular responses versus just trying to put something on top, the Band-Aid on top, right? Kimiko, what made you, I guess you knew that you were plateaued, you were like, hey, I need to get help. You know, what was it that you felt like finally made you push you towards the edge of, like, I need to get coaching, I need to work with Clarice? Like, what was it that specifically pushed you towards that?
Well, I have to say that, you know, listening to all your Wednesday lives, I learned a tremendous amount of information that I never had before. Like the whole thing with nutrition, the whole thing, what's going on with the hormones in your body. And then I'd also look around at my friends who have all shrunk. I mean, all of them have lost height.
Yes.
I have overweight friends or people who all of a sudden just gained 15 pounds for no apparent reason. And I'm watching this all happen with them as well. Yes. And all the information I learned from you, and it's like, okay, she knows her stuff. Yes. It's better that, you know, I've had a few coaches at the gym where I go, and they don't have any of this kind of really good information that's going to help a woman who is in peri or post or in menopause or whatever. And you knew yourself. And the more I listened every week, and even though, you know, you might do a thing on hormones, but every time you come and talk about hormones, there's more information.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really that was the impetus to say, well, you know, this woman can help me. This is someone, you know, she knows what's going on in our bodies. And even though I didn't have to lose any weight or anything like that, but still something wasn't working anymore. And talking to trainers at the gym who are 20 years old or just got out of college with their, you know, sports degrees, and they don't know.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, you know, I appreciate, Kimiko, you saying is, like, you really want someone who is really specialized to specifically women's hormones. You know, I know you follow all my lives and podcasts, all this type of stuff, but it's like the way you coach aging women, the primary driver must be, we have to look at your underlying hormones. Belly fat is almost all hormonal. Look, I did a live called 6 types of belly fat shapes. If you don't understand the 6 types, you're going to be like, oh yeah, cut back calories. Oh no, just strength train more, when it has very little to do with those things. It has so much with understanding, okay, this woman has estrogen dominant type belly. We need to use estrogen dominance reducing factors, right? Or this woman like Jackie Bouchard has a huge insulin resistant belly. That is very different to coach her than coach you. You didn't have a belly. So my sole purpose was like, okay, with Kimiko is all about maximizing muscle development in her body while fixing her macro balances so she does not have sugar cravings anymore. You know, and this is something that, again, I want to bring this up because it's really crucial for women. We are in a very information overloaded society. Like, you can look up anything anywhere. I mean, the shortage is not in information. What I can tell you is the shortage is understanding how it applies to your body. That is the shortage. The shortage is, if for your specific situation, if you have an insulin type belly plus an estrogen dominant belly, how you're going to be coached is radically different from somebody who just has a cortisol belly, like Tracy Norman. One of my clients, she's a nighttime nurse worker. So her main struggle is cortisol belly, not insulin resistant or estrogen dominance. And so I think this is a thing of, whenever women get confused out there, I want you guys to always think about, does this person reference a lot in regards to hormones, and specifically women's hormones as they age? That will give you a lot of clues, not just who's the next ripped person talking to you or the next person who can lift the greatest weights. It's the person who understands about hormone signals. And that was something that you learned because you came to a lot of my lives and podcasts.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Listening on Spotify, tap that 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a quick review. It really helps the show reach more women.
If you guys are kind of new and you have not listened to a lot of my lives, I do encourage you to follow my podcast. It's called the Fierce and Fit Mentor Podcast. Again, if you want the link, you can put podcast below, or you can go to my link in my bio, and I think it's the second link, I'll say podcast, and you can access that on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. But it really does help. Even some of my personal friends of my dad and mom, obviously with recent situations, they come and talk to me and they're like, okay, this is happening to my body, blah, blah, blah. And I tell them, I said, okay, before you get coaching from me, please go listen to my podcast. Please go learn all the philosophy I'm speaking about so you really understand what I'm saying, you know? So it's a really great start to getting, like you said, Kimiko, you listened for at least 2-3 years to be like, yeah, like she understands in depth, like about the hormone system, about like muscle building, about the process of even how you get bloated, right? Stuff like that. So yeah, so let's actually jump into when you started the program. So when you started the program, like what surprised you the most about the process of the program, of my coaching? What surprised you the most?
Well, with regard to nutrition, I did not realize that I was eating so little protein.
Yes, very little for how much you do.
Yeah, for as busy as I am. And then, you know, you were following along with my writing in what I was eating every day. And then that shocked me. It's like, I need to be eating how much protein? And I wasn't. So I'm actually eating a 3 times bigger breakfast than I ever have in my life, ever, in all my years. And when you're 20 and 30, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I always ate, I've always eaten many times a day, at least 5 times a day or something, although some of it might be all sugary stuff.
I remember one of your logs, just as a fun thing, your glutino cookies. You love those glutino cookies. And I was like,
because they're chocolate.
Yes, but I was like, Kimiko, take a look at all the stuff
that's in it. Yeah.
But it's a good thing to laugh about. But yes,
but it is. So really, the whole nutrition thing was a huge eye opener for me, because I already know, you know, like I said, 40 years I've been lifting weights, so I already know about the lifting weights. So that was the nutrition thing was really big. Okay, so then I started upping my protein, and then during one of our talks, you said, don't forget your carbs.
Yes.
And then you adjusted all my macros. And I have to tell you, even though my program is over with you, I'm still logging in all my food, and I'm paying attention to my macros. as much as I can, try and keep it as close to what you had given to me from before. And I have noticed that my sugar, how much sugar I'm taking in every day, really significantly dropped.
Yes.
And then the other, as far as the training, the physical part of the training, the most I ever did was, supersetting is a huge thing for you, which is what makes it really challenging. I never superset more than 2 exercises, and then that was it, and I certainly never thought to put like HIIT training in between. That was huge for me. It's like, okay, you want me to do deadlifts, and then I'm supposed to do these duck walk things, and then I'm supposed to do some sumo deadlifts, and I'm doing these in my garage, and I had to sit down on a step stool for a while to go because I had never superset 3 things all at the same time. So that was a huge change for me after 40 years of training.
Right.
And the other thing is, if you go to a gym and you're going to use a machine, you only have that one machine. You can't jump from machine to machine. Yes. So that was another big thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to walk over here and do these duck walk things, and then I'm going to go back over here and get, sumo deadlifts now. That was the most challenging of my program.
Yes. Yes.
And I have to tell you, during that whole time that the 3 or 4 months, I quit almost all cardio other than my dancing.
Yes.
I just did. It's like, after all these 3 and 4 superset things, I have nothing left in the gas tank.
Right. It's like the workout itself worked in the cardio,
yes.
worked in the HIIT, worked in all those aspects within it. Right. Yes. Yes. And I mean, this is 2 things. Like, one, you talked about the macros and how much it changed. And this is actually super common. So many women do not eat enough protein. No matter how many times I say on my lives, Kimiko, I still, to this day, right now, every new client who comes into me, almost still not enough protein. No matter how many times or how long they followed me, it's still not enough. Now, sometimes, occasionally, there's 2 other problems. Is they hear me say it, so they keep trying to increase protein. But they increase it through all the wrong sources. And as you know, I'm really against a lot of really high inflammatory type things in protein, and not all protein is made equal. So then I see them increasing through a lot of different things that causes more inflammation in their body. And so there's that. Either they hear the protein and then they think they need to increase protein, but not understanding the quality types of protein. But also what you said, oh, so I started increasing my protein. Then Clarice said on her live, carbs, I have this reel about carbs can help you lose weight. And that is going all over social media. There's so much response on that, because people are like, I can lose weight by eating carbs. Like, it's almost like this new concept that people almost like cannot wrap their heads around. But it's like, yes, carbs actually give you right signals, but you have to know the quantity, the type, the timing, to make sure that it is proper. And so this is something that I know for you, Kimiko, the macros was a huge part. If I had to say, like, nutrition is 70% of your results, that is a big part of why you grew muscle. But the other 30% was the right stimulus, which you talked about, and we'll talk about in a bit here. But nutrition was what we fixed a lot. Like, you know how you said you trained for 40 years and you dance 5 days a week. Your poor body was like probably just constantly like trying to build muscle, breaking down muscle, building muscle, breaking down muscle, building muscle, breaking down muscle, and until we can get you into a surplus, your body could not actually build. But what it does show now, as you can see in your results, is that 66 with the right macros, you still can build muscle. Your body can respond, which is amazing, right?
I was so very surprised, but I'm very, very pleased. And soon, in the next few months, I'll be coming back for round 2 of Muscle Accelerator.
Yes, to get even more sculpted. We're going to build that glute even more. I know.
Yeah, that's still, I have to tell you, partly from, dancing, I did have a little bit of a fear of building my legs too big.
Right.
So that might have, that's a mindset thing, right? Yeah. So I think that might have like maybe been part of the holding back thing.
Yes.
So that's why I'm looking forward to round 2 when in a few months, when we get started again.
Yes,
And
exactly.
see how you're going to really challenge me with these
Oh, trust me.
super
You just have to ask 𝗀𝗀𝗃 on here. I have ways to challenge your body. 𝗀𝗀𝗃 is probably like, oh, good and bad memories are coming back. But I guess the other thing you had said was about the training and about how the specific formatting of how I built your program and how I had you kind of alternate between different ways of training, right? In between sets and supersets and, you know, more than threes, like giant sets and blah, 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 all this type of stuff. And so, you know, this is something that I always say, one, your body, if your body will get used to whatever you do, right? So whatever you had done for so long, your body just doesn't respond anymore, right? And you knew that.
Yes.
So one of the biggest things is getting a new way of training into your body, but with that caveat, because of course you hear me speak a lot about people jumping around all the time. Like, I'm going to do this here, I'm going to do this here, I'm going to do this here. But if you jump around a lot, your body will get confused, and there's a lot of like cortisol signals, right? Like, you're like, I'm going to do this one day, I'm going to do this another day, I'm going to do this another day. And one of the things is, Kimiko, during your program, we progressed in form check, like how you do deadlifts, how you do glute raises, but we kept the same program, correct?
Yes, we did. It was the same program, and it was challenging all the way through. In fact, because I did develop a cold at the tail end of it too, it became even more challenging. But even with the cold, movement is better. Even, you know, even having a cold and everything, trying to move the body will move some of the sludge out. So I still did, you know, whatever I could, even with having a cold and everything else, still keep moving, still keep training. It might not have been, you know, I might have to drop the weights a little bit or whatever. In fact, we talked about that when you watched my form checks. Sometimes that was frustrating to me. It's like, I've been doing this for a long time, longer than you've been alive. And how are you telling me that I'm not doing this right? But, you know, well, I am aging, so things are not going to work as well as when I was 23 when I first got started. So of course, so I was surprised that on two things. Number one, oh, you can lift heavier, and I'm like, what? No, that was for the deadlift stuff. That was quite. I mean, I really pushed it up a lot, which I shocked myself. I didn't even think there was any way I can't.
How much did you increase? I think you increased it by 50 pounds or something like that.
I started out, I bought myself an 80-pound kettlebell. And I was kind of using that to, you know, to try and make sure my form was pretty, you know, better instead of a big barbell thing. So 80 pounds was the max. That's the most I would go. And it's like, okay, I thought that was challenging. And then I finally, you know, I loaded up. Let's load up a bar, put some weights on it. Then you said, oh, you can do more. And I'm like, what? Okay, I'll try. So I added on 100, but I had to use 4 25-pound plates. I have standard set, not the Olympic size ones. And you didn't think that there was enough on there. You said, that doesn't look like enough. And I'm like, lady, I just jumped it up 20 pounds. What are you talking about? So then
𝗀𝗀𝗃's probably in the background, like smiling, because she remembers.
She's probably laughing.
Yes.
And so then I took the 25s off. I got a couple of rusted out, whatever, used 50 pounds. I put 2 50 pounds, and then I added more on top of that too. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try. So I went from 80 to 100 to 130, and I shocked myself because you kept saying, you can do more. You can do more. I think you can do more. And I thought you were crazy.
But I think this is something that's really important. I mean, it's really helpful for people to know. Obviously, one of the ways to build muscle is increase weight. It's not the only way, but I have to make sure people understand that the reason you could go higher is because your form was good. Okay, so this is something that's very important, because I have had other clients in my muscle accelerator who, you know, after hearing a live like this, they're like, I'm going to jump all my weights, and they just all jump their weights. Not all, I'm thinking of 1 or 2 clients, and the form is horrible. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's definitely not what I'm saying. So we want to make sure, like, you know, you need a very expert eye to understand, like, okay, how is she loading her hip? How is she doing her extension into the deadlift? And how is her overall fitness background as well? Because, for example, Kimiko, you have your dancer, core is strong. You have overall very, very good body awareness.
Mhm.
For someone who is just starting with me, who don't have a lot of experience, that wouldn't be something I would say so quickly for them, right?
Yeah.
Again, to kind of bring about this, like, customization coaching is very crucial, because when we hear these lives or we hear these amazing podcasts or things like that, sometimes we're like, oh, she said more protein, so I'm going to go get more protein. Oh, she said go heavier, so I'm going to go heavier. And one thing I'm just going to help caution is just be careful. Always double check on your situation, your specific body, you know, because so much can be different. If you have a lot of belly fat on you and you don't have a great workout background, pushing weight high too fast will actually trigger an opposite effect. Cortisol will shoot through the roof for you, right? And so this is something I was just like, it's really great that Kimiko is sharing this, but I also want to bring about that it's the way I coached her in her situation. And every woman is different. But like Kimiko, you are a lot more like 𝗂𝗀𝗍 in the sense of, obviously there's an age difference, but you guys both are, yeah, you're like, but you know, you're both are lean, both are fit, both have potential, both have very good form and awareness. So going heavier is a very good strategy, right? But not the only strategy, right?
That's true, because when I was doing trying to do the glute lifts, the hip,
Yes, I remember
whatever
this.
you call those, you
Yes, the
told me
glute
to lower
hip
the
thrust.
weight. And
Yes,
I'm
I told
like,
you to lower it quite a few times.
I've
Yeah.
been trying, to raise it and keep raising it and keep raising it so I could grow my glutes and everything, right? But I didn't realize either until you made me videotape myself. It's like my form wasn't good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just, it's like, well, as long as I push it up there and I can feel the squeeze in my butt, then I must be doing something right, right? No.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
actually dropped that weight by like 25 pounds or so to get better form. And that made a big difference because of the form, but it also made a big difference in what was happening in my body. So
Yeah.
yes, I may, maybe I could go up in one thing, but I actually had to come down
Yes.
in other
Exactly.
things.
Yes, exactly. And so thank you for sharing that, because I do remember the glute raise. Your
Mm-hmm.
form wasn't there. You were not pushing it all the way to the very top.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like compromising. You're compromising so much. And I was like, it doesn't matter how much you're trying to lift with that hip thrust, right?
Yeah.
Your glutes are not going to grow with the technique you're doing right now, right? And so, yeah, I appreciate that example. And so, I mean, with the people who are actually watching, there's two things that has made a huge difference in Kimiko's progress. It's her nutrition, so like macros, muscle specific kind of macros, as well as a specific format of training, which I call MTP, so menopausal training protocol. It involves different variations of what she says, where I don't like to just do like where sometimes people go to the gym and they just sit on the machines and go down the line of the machine. It's not the most effective way of training. There's just different ways you can format your training to produce a higher level of growth hormone, insulin growth factor. The goal for all the women listening is you want to maximize those two hormones while keeping cortisol low. So there's a specific format in how you want to train. So if you want to learn more about macros or MTP, put macros or MTP below. One is nutrition, obviously, and the other is the way you train. They're both important. If you are just beginning and you're like, which one do I like? Do I need both? What I would say is if you are super new, nutrition is your prime. That is 70% of your results. If you've been lifting for a while, but you plateaued and you're like, I don't know how to progress myself anymore, then I would say, okay, we can kind of look at MTP, right? So, but put macros or MTP if you want more help or us to send you more resources and things like that. So perfect. Now, Kimiko, let's actually jump to your mindset. Now, again, we did talk about mindset earlier, but you know, I always say there's a big difference because you are incredibly successful in your own right. Like you are an instructor in teaching Argentine tango, you had teams, you're working full time, your physique is sculpted like a low percentage body fat with basically nothing on your stomach, you know, at 66 years old. So you're very accomplished. But something I always want people to understand is every successful person, what is the strongest for them is mindset. If you can conquer the mind, everything else will follow. Sure, I could teach her about macros. I could teach her about workout formatting and progression. But what makes Kimiko incredibly successful is her mindset. So during the program, Kimiko, you had about 2 to 3, maybe even more weeks where you were very sick in my program.
Yes.
But you still managed to go through that till the end of the program and get the results that you have, what we see today. So I'd love for you to share with kind of everybody here, how do you handle setbacks? Like, how do you handle being sick or crazy stress at work, or like just a lot of things, maybe your dance gets super busy. Like what helps you through those types of setbacks?
Well, first of all, I have to say a lot of it is discipline. I wrote on a schedule and I write it down on a calendar, believe it or not. This is what day I'm going to go and do whatever. I work out mostly at home.
Yes.
And then I only go to the gym like twice a week. And I'll do a little bit of weightlifting or strength training, and then I do my dance rehearsal. So I'm doing a double thing when I'm at the gym. I want to maximize my time. So first of all, it's scheduling. So the very first thing is scheduling and trying to keep to the schedule.
Yes.
But then, you know, if you get sick or something happens, you're really stressed out at work, then part of what I do is I check in with myself and my body. Now, there'll be a lot of times it's like, oh my God, I'm supposed to do shoulders today and I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is, okay, I get home. I might sit there and watch a little TV or pet my cat or do whatever. And then it's like, okay, your schedule today says you should work on X, you know, shoulders or whatever. So just get up and do it. Now, if you're, you know, when I was sick, I might not have trained exactly the way your program said, but I figured if I do anything, that movement is better than nothing at all. Yes. So it might be 8:30 at night and I'll pick up a set of weights and I'm standing in front of the TV set and I'll still do whatever I can, but I still check in with my body. You know, like I had a cold, so if I have to keep stopping to blow my nose or whatever, I'll do some of it. And there are sometimes also, like on the weekends when I was off and I was sick, I'd do some of your program, and then I'd stop because I'd run out of energy and I'm blowing my nose or my head hurts or whatever. And then later on when I felt better, I'd resume the next portion of it. Because you don't, it's like if I can't do it all at one time, you know, my head's pounding or, you know, I'm coughing or whatever, I'll do some of it. And since I have all my weights and everything at home, so the mindset is keep moving no matter what, keep moving. And, you know, yes, check in with your body. And yes, don't beat yourself up. It's like, oh my God, I'm sick and I'm coughing, but I can do this much. So I'll do this much.
Yeah, so I think what you're actually saying, which we say a lot in like my mindset lives, is not having an all or nothing mindset, right? Yes. It's not like I'm sick and I just can't work out, or this happened, I just can't do this. It's being willing to do as much as you can, even if you have to modify. There's a saying I say that like doing 30% of a workout is better than 0%, you know? Yes. And I think that's something that makes you stand apart, is like you've had many, you know, times where you've been sick or really stressed at work, but somehow you still manage to fit something in, even if it's not all of it. I think I even remember during your program, one time or a couple of times where you said, I really was so busy, I'm so exhausted, I just mainly did like deadlifts today, or you did like only 1 or 2 moves. Yeah. But that's actually what makes you stand out, because a lot of times people would just like, I'm sick, I can't, right? And of course, don't get me wrong, if you are like throwing up, like deathly sick, just rest, please. But I'm just saying, like, you were having like a cold and a little bit stuffy nose and stuff like that. and you didn't let that stop you. You still, you know, just like I did as much as I can, Clarice, and you stayed accountable. Like you would check in with me, you know? Yeah. And I think that's what really makes you stand apart. And like, so when you put all the ingredients together, because I always say there's an ingredient to when you listen to the most successful people. So Kimiko has an incredible mindset that keeps her consistent and disciplined, but she also got help on refining on her macros to really get her to grow muscle, the right nutrition to grow muscle. Plus she got a program where it really challenged her body for the workouts and to actually get the form correct on a lot of it. And you know what's funny is, Kimiko, on the form, you know, just rounding back around to that, is like, no matter how long you've worked out, there's always something to learn. Like I recently haven't seen her just with everything that's happened, but like back in November, December, when I saw a trainer who is competed in Miss Olympia, she was talking to me about like lat pull downs and all this back stuff. And I've been training for 15 years, right? But I loved some of the specific details she was telling me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about if you do this, if you turn this, if your wrist is this way, your elbow's this way, you know, and it's like so exciting. Like, and I think that is the thing, is like a lot of women, obviously I coach everybody up to 79, you know, and it's like, sometimes it's not like, sometimes it's easy to get into this, like, I'm old enough, I should know better, I should already know how to lift, I've been lifting a long time, you know, and I think that sometimes we get in our own way, rather than you should be like, what other new research has come out about the next biggest way to grow my muscles, you know? That's the way I look at it. No matter how old you get, you always still can learn something, right? And
oh yeah, absolutely. And there's always, like you said, new research has come out, and you know, people figure out new ways to do things. And then also I noticed in the comments someone said something about, you know, when you have an injury or you've got something happening to you. I've had a lot of injuries, most of them through dance, believe it or not. I've had frozen shoulder on both shoulders.
yes,
I've had this shoulder, and I would go to I went to physical therapy for 10 months rehabbing my shoulder, because I didn't want to do the surgery, because then I couldn't dance.
yes,
So
exactly.
I wasn't going to let that stop me, but I never stopped training. You just have to sometimes modify. So if you have an injury or whatever, you know, modify the way you do the lift. If I couldn't push the, you know, dumbbell this way, or I couldn't use a barbell outward because it affected my shoulder, I would use a dumbbell, which, you know, is, and I would turn them hammer style instead of this way, because I could still lift it that way without re-injuring an already problematic area. So I would also say, don't let injuries be one of the things that say, you know, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
figure out a way around it, or drop the weight. You know, you told me, just drop the weight a little bit on this. If this hurts you, or this isn't going right, or drop the weight. And so I would still do that.
Yes.
Even if I had to half it, whatever, just to keep going.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that. And yes, because this is a very common, particularly shoulders is very common amongst a lot of knees and shoulders are two of the most common as you age having problems. And I really love what you said, Kimiko. When you have an injury, you can modify or change things, but don't stop working out. And this is honestly one of the best pieces of advice she can give you, because that is something I always say to a lot of my clients or people. Yes, they drop out of my programs and like, I have an injury, I can't do it. And I often am like, why? Like, I've broken my pinky before, and I remember I could not use this hand. And now this is extreme, but it's just an example, right? But I had broken it on that day during the daytime. I went to the hospital. I had to get a cast here on my pinky. But I was in the middle of I was going to do my leg workout. So I was very bummed. So after 8 hours or 9 hours or whatever at the hospital, the gym closed at 12 midnight. So I was like, I'm going back to the gym. And I just went back to do my leg workout on machines, obviously, but not like with my hand. But, and I'm not saying people have to do that, but obviously at the time I was still training and competing, or it was just, you're in the flow. And it's like, I do not want to miss. And that's the thing is, like, I trained for the next, because it took 2 months or so, or 8 weeks, whatever, for the pinky to heal. I never stopped training. I just kept going to the gym. I just modified with legs, and then I bought, if you've ever seen the special cuffs for people with hand injuries, and you can still do other types of exercises with it, right? You know, everybody is like of equal value. We're not saying that, but what makes us have different results is the way we think. Like the way we think is different. It's like, okay, there may be things that may be happening, but I'm going to still find a way to stay consistent and still train, right?
I remember in dancing one time, I pulled a hamstring really seriously because we were doing a bunch of splits without warming up, and on the sixth one, something pulled.
Right.
And then I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with the rest of my body. There's no reason for me not to continue to go to the gym. And I broke a toe one time and I kept dancing. I just couldn't wear heels, but I could wear flats. You know, it's like you just keep going.
Yes, exactly. I love that. When I actually had a stress fracture on my L4, my lower lumbar. This was still around when I was highly competitive. And I remember one of the doctors said to completely stop weightlifting. And
no,
I hope he doesn't watch this podcast. But I was like, in my mind, I didn't say it to him, but I was like, that ain't happening. No. Because he's like, I think you need to like stop weight training completely. And I was like, no. And I mean, obviously there's probably medical people who are listening to this, like there's good reason why he told you that. But I just had to take right precautions, be mindful. Obviously did not do like squats or heavy deadlifts during that time. But a lot of people ask me how I'm so strong in my upper body, and like full at my peak, I could do 18 pull-ups in a row. Like, how did I get so strong? I'll tell you how. I trained my upper body super intensely when my lower body was not working. And then that's how I got super strong in my upper body, you know? Yeah. And so it's the mindset. So if anybody is watching this and you feel like, oh, I struggle with my mindset, with consistency, or all of that, put mindset below. Again, my podcast for mindset just dropped last week. So again, if you want more help or guidance on the mindset of being more successful or more consistent, put mindset below. Okay. So let's actually talk about now, after the program is over. So now that the program has been completed and everything, how do you feel now compared to before? Like, what changes do you notice like physically for yourself?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I've had another cold, so it's been a little bit of a struggle over the last 2 or 3 weeks, including with my dancing. But I still measure myself once in a while, and I haven't lost anything much. A little bit in my arms, you know, my biceps and stuff. I've lost a little bit, but I keep going. I still want to keep going. I still feel that it was totally worth it for me to do this. I'm still able to maintain. I have some of my tenants that are like much younger than me, and then they'll say something to me. So you must only be 39 years old. And I said, add almost 30 years on to that, but because I lift weights, and they're all excited about it. I have a woman who came up to me and said, I've been looking for someone like Clarice for a long time that will help me build muscle at my age. And I understand she joined the transformation program for him.
Yeah.
They're very pleased about that. I've had men, you know, that always come up to me and say, you look fabulous, and, you know, whatever you're doing is working, or ask me, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, all those things, you know, make you feel good, especially when you get older like me. In a week and a half, I'll be 67.
Yeah. Just phenomenal. Like, everyone just drop her lots of hearts. At 67, for her physique, if you have not seen those photos, take a look again. And she's still performing and dancing on stage and lifts and kicks in the air. And I just like, I'm thinking of you must have seen it. Like, I think Britain's Got Talent, that 80-year-old who salsa danced with the guy. And everybody was like, oh my gosh. And everybody loves her because she's like 80 years old and still dancing. And I'm like, that's Kimiko. Like, I mean, you know, it's just amazing. You look phenomenal. 67. A lot of people were like, it's just late. I don't know if I can ever look like that. I said, no, you can look like that.
You can. Absolutely. You just have to, you know, meet someone like Clarice who can show you the proper way to make the changes that you need so you can keep, going. I mean, my partner, my dance partner, he's been out for many, he started with me, Richard, he's Chinese.
Yes.
And he was the one who got me into tango. I knew him through salsa. He's been out several times. He had 4-way bypass heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
He lost a kidney to cancer. They removed it completely. So he's diabetic now. He has asthma. And he's back to dancing with me. I mean, we've been, for the last 2 years, restarted. And he's back to lifting again. Because he knows if he's going to lift me, he's got to have some strength, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
he said to me, I want to keep dancing when I get to be 80 or whatever. I still want to keep doing this. And I have to say, I absolutely echo that. We want to be able to continue to dance and to continue to lift weights and be strong.
Yes.
And, look good doing this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And we don't want age. He's 67.
Yeah.
We don't want age and, look at all his health problems and injuries and this and that. We don't want that to be a limitation upon the things that we want to do just because we're older.
Yeah. And I think this is like why, just again, like, you're such a great example, obviously your age, but like, I think a lot of women, they come to me and they kind of almost like, okay, at least I can prevent the loss, right? Which makes sense. Like, I want to prevent osteoporosis. I want to prevent myself from losing more muscle, just like, it's like a preventative thought process, which is great. But there's something more, is that you were not just like, I need to maintain muscle. I need to, like, you're like, no, I want to be fitter, stronger, more muscle. I want more sculptedness. Like you even said, Clarice, I'm coming back for round 2 for Muscle Accelerator because I want to keep growing more muscle. My mentor once said there's like a playing not to lose and there's a playing to win. There's 2 different mindsets. And the playing not to lose is like, I don't want to age and I don't want to lose muscle mass, which is valid. But if there's a difference, is that you are like playing to win. Like, you are playing to like, I want more muscle mass at 67. I'm still going to build more muscle, Clarice. Hello, I'm here. I want to still build more muscle and I still want to be stronger. I want my glutes to grow. I think that's phenomenal, because like, so many women just want to be like, I want to just get to at least not like lose more muscle, or I want to be maintaining, or at the very least like look decent, which makes sense. But you're like, I'm on another level. Like, I want to like look my healthiest, strongest in my 70s, 80s. I want to be able to still be thrown in the air for tango. I still want to like do these ochos, is that correct? Ocho kicks and arounds and everything like that. And I think it's like, yes. Like, I think that's a message for all the women listening, is like, at 67, 68, whatever, 70, like you're, the individual you introduced to me, when you're above 70, you can still be even more fit than you were before. That's hard to believe, but you can be more fit than you were before, right? And so
that's definitely my goal. Yes, that's why I will be coming back for round 2 soon.
Yes, I know.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Listening on Spotify, tap that 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a quick review. It really helps the show reach more women.
So I know you already shared what your friends and family say. What did you learn the most about your body in the journey of being coached by me? Like, what did you learn the most about your body?
Well, you never stop learning. I mean, I might have been lifting weights for 40 years, but I certainly don't know it all. I don't know all the information. In fact, I'm like, Clarice is sort of like a medical walking encyclopedia.
Because of my geeky brain. I like it.
It's awesome for us because that's how we learn from you. And that's why, it's like I get on all these lives and everything. It's like I always learn something else. There's something always new. And as, like you said, when I started, it wasn't, women had a separate gym with, little bitty weights and the 3-pounders and, machines that started at 10 pounds and didn't go very heavy. And now it's completely changed, and women are in the gyms with the guys and they're bragging about, I can deadlift more than you can. And, whatever, that type of stuff, which is awesome because as more information becomes available, you know,
Yes.
we shouldn't stop learning.
Yes.
It should be an ongoing thing. And of
Yes.
course, as women who are, for me, postmenopausal, I need more learning.
Yeah.
Because what I did way back when, and even in 2020 when COVID hit, you know, it's like, oh, I can just do this. I did, but then dead stop. Why? Something changed. Something, something else I don't know about. I've still got to keep learning. So just because I'm getting older, now it's probably even more so. There's got to be more information out there for me, because I don't want to stop just because I'm going to be 67 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be, I don't want an age thing to be a thing that limits where I want to go with my dancing, with my body and whatever. But that means that there's more for me to learn.
I
If
love
you
that.
have the information, then I'm going to come to the person who has the information that's going to be able to help me. And that's
Right.
you, Clarice. So
Thank you. Yes, and Kimiko, I think one thing is that's sufficiently help, because when you combine a very extensive amount of research knowledge with women's hormones, and specifically with how the aging process occurs in the body, in the gut system, in your endocrine system, like it's a lot, makes sense when you put it in a holistic container. So what I mean by that is, like, if you're just listening to a doctor speak, that is just science. It's kind of like, but how does this apply to me, right? Like, what do you mean, right? But when you can speak or hear from somebody who is actually like hands-on coaching many different clients. I have real life case studies, right, of like these clients going through these things. Or like Leslie, as you remember, Leslie, her change in her body was phenomenal. And hers was because I understood about estrogen dominance, and I understood what happened in her body, and I could specifically coach her in that. And coming back to your point, you said just like never be afraid of learning and continuing to learn. And I think like learning from someone who is actively in the field, right? There is a difference between philosophical speaking, where you're, you know, research is here, but application is here, right? So what you want is, you want the best type is research with application and real life case studies, right? And that's why I know so well when people say, well, how do you even know about the 6 different types of belly fat? And I'm like, because of actually having coached for so long. I've seen different types, shapes, sizes, upper, lower, bloated, hard, soft, blah, blah. I've seen everything, and I've seen how they change differently based on different protocols, right? And so it's like, you know, Kimiko, you were saying, like, even though you've been around a long time, it's like the research is always coming out with more things, more in-depth understanding, or they found this new allele or DNA process, or this contributes to this. And the more that you can learn and gather it together, and then actually, like you said, like understand or learn from somebody who can give you the holistic view, right? The holistic view, then the more likely you'll be successful, because it's the application that a lot of people are missing. Not the knowledge, but the application, right? Yeah. So I guess for yourself, what do you feel like would be the advice you would give women over 40 who want to achieve a lean, sculpted muscle like you?
well, search out and find someone like Clarice who understands what's going on in your body, a woman's body, a woman who is in perimenopause, in menopause, postmenopause, whatever, because we are changing. We don't stay the same. Our bodies are always changing. So find someone like Clarice, or go to Clarice. Don't be afraid. Never stop. Don't be afraid of, oh, well, you know, I'm getting older and maybe I should not do this stuff anymore. That's a fallacy. That's, to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't let age be a factor that's going to stop you. You can always do it. Don't let your mind stop you.
Yes.
Because your body is capable of way more than you ever believe. I certainly learned that even after 40 years of weight training.
Yes.
I learned that my body was still capable of doing more than I ever thought. And So all through my program, I was really surprised. You know, and I can eat more. I mean, I'm eating a 3 times bigger breakfast than I ever ate before. And, you know,
Yeah.
but I needed all these things. And so, but going to a person that would, you know, knows their stuff, Clarice, and can apply what, you know, what each of us need for our own independent situation. But don't let your mind stop you.
Yes.
Don't let your age stop you.
Yes.
You know, seek out the information, put it to use, apply the principles that you're being taught, and just go for it. Really, just go for it.
Truly, truly. I honestly, it's so good. You said, don't let the mind stop you. Don't think you're too old. Like all of these things that you're saying. I mean, I am sure so many women on here, we've like consistently 16 eyeballs in here, but like appreciate hearing, like they appreciate, you know, the encouragement, right? From someone who has the results, right? You know, you said like, just never let yourself stop yourself, right? This is the thing that is like, I think a lot of women, and you know, because you actually are in that age range of those women, right? You speak to them, they come up to you, they talk to you, they ask you how you have these results. And it's like a lot of times there's a lot of reasons. It could be like, I'm really busy with the grandkids, I'm not working right now, or, you know, there's a lot of reasons. But what I will always say is like, where there's a will, there's a way. And I have coached people that are on disability benefits, that are in old age security. It's the prioritization of it, right? We steward money where we believe the importance of things are. And people steward money to their houses because they think it's important. They steward money to their cars because they think it's important. Yes. You and I steward money to dance because we believe it's important. But you and I also steward money towards fitness related things because we believe it's important. I mean, just like I said, in November, December, I paid a bunch of money to the Olympic Miss Olympia trainer coach in the city, and I was like, why? Because I was like, I don't care if I coach for 15 years and I'm a trainer myself. I want to pay you so that you can actually help me get to my next level, right? And so I think like just really, really incredible advice and just like so encouraging. And I want to ask you one more question is like, for you, like you trained for 40 years. Why do you think you made your biggest progress now? Like what was the biggest thing that helped you have the best transformation now?
The biggest thing, changing my nutrition has really been the really big eye opener for me, because I really didn't realize I wasn't eating enough to maintain my lifestyle, and I wasn't eating enough to be able to build muscle. So totally. Really learning a lot about the nutrition was a huge thing for me. Also the way that you structured a program for me. So everyone has to have their own individual program. You don't follow my program because that's not necessarily going to, work for my girlfriends. They ask me this and that, and it's like, no, you've got to figure out what's going on in your body and have somebody who knows what they're talking about help you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, and I mean, I think you hit on the dot. Is nutrition is the biggest mover, and I would say the same to most women that I encounter and coach. And most of them, they say, oh, I train, I go to the gym, I work out, Clarice. But when I look at their food and their food log, or their combinations, or like you said, protein to carb ratio, or protein to carb and fat ratio, I'm like, that's not really great. And all of that is 70% of your results, right? So it is truly about getting the right nutrition. And if you're listening and you want more help with nutrition, or I would call it menopausal nutrition, because it is a different class of nutrition. Menopausal nutrition, it is very different. So if you're like, I need to learn more about menopausal nutrition, put menopausal nutrition. And so, Kimiko, this has been amazing. And I know that the ladies are so encouraged by you, because it's one thing for me to speak as a coach, or, I'm not at your age yet, right? But that's why Oshone and I both are like, she's phenomenal. Like, wow, look at her, And at 67, you hold a lot of authority because you have the results. you have the muscle results, you have the lean body fat percentage results, you have the consistency result. And so do you have any final words of encouragement you want to share with women watching?
Well, one of the things I do want to say is you don't necessarily have to be like me where you've exercised all your life or whatever. It doesn't matter if you start tomorrow. Just the idea is you have to start. To start, get the proper information, get the proper training, the proper nutrition, but you can start tomorrow and you can still build the body that you want. And have the life that you want, and don't let age ever stop you from anything.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And there's so many things that you say that I'm like, quote it. We might pull some of this and quote you, Kimiko. So amazing. Just to wrap up a couple of things. So for anybody who is watching, we are going to do another challenge in a couple weeks here. If you want to join that challenge, you can put next challenge or challenge below, and 𝗿𝗀𝗍𝗍, who's on here, will send you a message. So we have the challenge, another challenge coming down the line. And if you have not tried our muscle age assessment form, again, it kind of is a set of questions we go through to determine approximately what age range is your muscles sitting at. So metabolically, how healthy they are. You can put muscle age assessment or muscle age below. So Kimiko, thank you so much for being on here. I know that you have a busy night. You're probably still going to train dance tonight, knowing you. Yeah.
I have to leave soon.
Yes. And so thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. And you are such an inspiration. I know you have inspired so many women and the thousands after who will watch this and the podcast, because this will go into a podcast. So you will continue to inspire.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, it's a little embarrassing, to tell you the truth, because I just do what I do, and this isn't for everybody, but for those of you who are seeking and those of you who want to make change in your life, start now.
Yes, start now. Exactly. No more excuses. Start now. Don't let age stop you. So with that, we're going to wrap it up and send Kimiko lots and lots of hearts. And we look forward to continue to hear more of your journey in the future. Maybe in the future, the part 2, Muscle Accelerator. Part 2 coming in the future with more glute growth.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Take care, Kimiko.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fierce and Fit Mentor podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the follow button on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If something in this episode resonated with you, please leave a review or share it with a friend who'd love it too. Your support means the world and helps us reach more amazing women like you. Until next time, stay fierce, stay fit, and let's keep building your most powerful self.